What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. We will be into all of the current events that just happened, and tonight is a live call-in show, so stick around. It's going to get nuts. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we're going to talk about a whole lot of stuff, and if you're new here, remember, you can always go over to our website, marfooglenews.com, and find every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we're going to show you here. We want to make sure that you know exactly where this information is coming from, and you have access to it. In fact, this makes it fun. You can grab a second device, and you can actually follow along, read along with us on these articles, and point out things that you may have seen and that we may have missed, or go back and check my work retrospectively. Now, when you go to the website, it's very easy to navigate. You just go to today's thumbnail. Point of no return is what today's show is called, and obviously a lot of people are following what is happening in the world right now. In fact, I think more people are actually following what is going on than ever before, just because it has infected social media as well. Normally, people are tuned out, and probably most of the people you know are completely trying to avoid it, but you can't really avoid this. This is a possible World War III. So when you click on that, you'll see that all of the articles are there, and plus a ton more. Once you get to a yellow bar at the bottom, that is the overflow. That is all the stuff that could not fit into a 2-hour time period, so make sure to go check that out. There's an entire other show down there. Again, make sure to use this. This is all sorts of other news. Pretty much between that and the show, you have caught up completely on everything you need to know what is going on in the world. So thank you, everybody that has already popped in. Brenda Conley, looks like we have Andrew McKay, Dennis Gagnis, Emmanuel Pitchen. Let's see here. Randy, what's going on? Major Ron, not to confuse with the Major. Survival Game, nice to see you. And make sure to thank your mods for popping in and making it a peaceful place down there. You can also check out their channels over on marfooglenews.com/friends. When you go over to marfooglenews.com, you'll actually see the tab at the top, or you can go to /friends, and you'll find that all of our mods are there. They, of course, do a ton of great stuff down in the chat, and they are keeping it a peaceful place, so make sure to go return the favor and go subscribe. Also, friends of Marf creators are essentially channels that we believe are helping the world, spreading information, or they are genuine people on and off camera. All of these people I know personally or can vouch for it. So again, that is all down there. So again, make sure to go check it out. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother. What is going on? Dex James, how are you doing tonight?
Well, hello, Adam. Hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So we have a lot of new people, by the way. Thank you, Rick Marriott, Ryan Kohler, Tracy Flynn, Mason. Thank you for subscribing. Zenwen AZ, thank you for, I guess, breaking in tonight. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Appreciate that very much. And then we have so much to go over, and tonight is a call-in. So if you do want to get in, you'll want to get in early at 224400-MARF. Again, that's 224400-6273. And if you missed that number, it is down on this line right here. Right after this, it's going to scroll through with the actual numbers if you don't have a phone with letters on it, which most of us don't by now, actually. But I think cell phones have the letters on there, but I haven't really noticed. That's kind of an
They
old
should.
school. That's kind of an old school thing, right? Either way. For those of you with rotary phones, just wait for the regular number because I know, I guess nobody's watching from Ukraine. Giant footprints, highways, pentagrams. New NASA photos of Europa ignite social media. So some are saying that these are like freeways or highways. Some are saying that these are primitive roadways and things like this. This is kind of a trip. It says new high-resolution photos of Jupiter's icy moon Europa show the surface is covered with something akin to highways rather than craters, and they go on for miles. Europa is believed to be the most likely spot in the solar system to find life outside of Earth, and it would be aquatic, not land-dwelling. So there would be sea life there, not human beings or bipedal land animals or mammals. They would be weird sea creatures from space. NASA's Juno mission captured the photos September 29th during a rare flyby that got within 256 miles of the surface. And scientists admit one photo of the moon's heavily fractured icy crust is puzzling. It says the image covers about 93 miles or 125 miles of Europa's surface, revealing a region crisscrossed with a network of fine grooves and double ridges. It says pairs of parallel lines indicating elevated features in the ice. It says near the upper right of the image as well, to the right and just below center, are dark stains, possibly linked to something from below erupting onto the surface. So to show you this image again, this is what they're talking about up here. And right around there, you see the dark kind of colors. And then down here, you can see it as well. They're saying, some are saying that these are, highways and things like this. I don't know. I've seen ice. If this was truly covered in ice, it almost looks like somebody took a microscope and is looking at an ice, in some sort of snowflake or something under a microscope. But they wouldn't try to pass that off as another planet, right? But as far as this goes, it does have this weird kind of design and all of these weird parallel kind of lines. But also, if it's covered in ice, that kind of makes sense. I don't know. What are your opinions on this? If you can't see it, you can go over to the website and get a closer look. Of course, this is linked there. So many people are talking about this on social media, and I'm like, it doesn't seem that crazy to me, but it is Europa. So they're, obviously they've used even the word Europa in all the sci-fi films of possibly Europa being this, livable planet or a planet out. In most movies, they have Europa as, the planet that we go to after our planet is destroyed, or they have it as, some sort of paradise. What do you guys think? Let me go over the chat real quick. Let's see here. Pentagram, do you see it? I didn't see that, actually, and it says it in the... Oh, I did not see that. Now I do. Oh, my gosh. Upper right-hand corner. So look, it has this line. I don't know if you can see my mouse well enough, but right here, upper right-hand corner, you can see almost, it's a pretty sloppy pentagram, but it is. Look at that. That's weird. Okay, something like that is a trip. If you see right here, the biggest line right here, that is the top of the star or the pentagram, and then it goes like this, and it's almost, that's freaky. When it said that, I looked all over the place, and I didn't see it until now. That is wild. What do you think? Is that a sign from space, or is that on purpose, or is that a coincidence? You would think that a pentagram, same thing, right? Would be pretty hard, even if it was in nature or something. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's ice and it's frozen. That is odd. I did not see that. Deborah, electric crystals. Somebody said they could see it. Freemasonic lie. Let's see. Only one line missing. No, I think it's there. You guys can't see it. There is every line. I think you're talking about the lower right-hand corner. There is a line, but it's hard to see. Let me try to get it a little bit bigger so you can see what I'm talking about. Look at that. So right here, down, and there is a line there, and that's where the picture gets cut off. Right here, there's that corner, that corner, that corner, and that corner. This one is kind of a bigger line. What a trip. Are pentagrams, are they found in nature? I know that there's all sorts of weird geometry that's found naturally in nature. Snowflakes are a trip. They're all unique. But this is weird because actually I'm starting to see another one. What if the whole planet is covered in them? What if this was home to the devil or something? Look at this. This is a trip. The more you zoom in, the more you see, actually. This dark spot down here looks like something crash landed. Over here looks like some sort of caverns. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Sonic Boom says they're symbols of protection. It's pyramids that form a pentagram, says Drops Family Garden. Half Baked says y'all tripping. Man, that says a lot coming from Half Baked. Sean Samuels, not today, Satan. Kmart's. Lucifer does rule the earth, says Murphy's Law. And Shannon Crow says, I see a bird. I don't see the bird yet, but I will look again. I guess I could see that with that weird circle. And then panic at Union Square after unknown substance causes passengers to cough and vomit, and cops shut down station. This is at Union Square. Now, remember all of the different drills that have gone on this year. In fact, just a few months ago. This is kind of freaky because think about all the drills they did. They actually took the subway station in New York and they closed down parts of it, and they actually put a substance, a gas of some sort that they could detect at all of the exits. And it was a harmless gas, they said. But what ended up happening is they put some biomarkers in it so they could see how it would move through the subway. And by doing this, they told a lot of people that, that basically told us, hey, they're possibly practicing for something that they have information on, or practicing, or, basically drilling for something that is a possible occurrence. Now, it says an unknown substance that was released on a subway platform caused several strap hangers to vomit and cough uncontrollably. And by the way, strap hangers is a word for subway riders. We learned that like last year, and I was like, what the heck's a strap hanger? It says the terrifying incident unfolded inside of Manhattan's 14th Street Union Square subway station just after 10 a.m. Friday. Here's a thought. If this ended up, so say in 10 days from now, these same people that were vomiting and coughing all of a sudden just, pass. And then all of the first responders start coughing and vomiting, and then they pass, or something like this. Is something that is a horrible thing that just got released on the subway. I'm sure there are people that are worried about that type of thing. I am hoping that this was just some sort of horrible smell, or something that, made people temporarily sick. But this is definitely freaky. So don't forget about that. Many people probably are not going to bring up the fact that the subways have been doing all of these weird drills. And of course, right now, New York is one of the biggest targets for every, country in the world that has a lot of hate for us. And then the I country has, of course, Iran has done a lot of crazy threats recently. And of course, they've put out videos. They've said that they were going to get back at us for, of course, Soleimani. I wonder what is actually going on here. It said the New York City Police Department said that first responders observed several sick passengers vomiting and coughing violently after an unknown substance was released. They're saying released. It said that they received reports about a suspect spraying mace. It said someone sprayed something in the air and people started vomiting left and right. That's weird. That would be under the same kind of guise if something happened, if they released like a virus, something like that. We, of course, have seen things like that in the movies where they spray something and it's some sort of, airist, right? I hope that's not the case. We will follow it. It says service in and out of Union Square was temporarily halted. The service resumed over an hour later after the incident, but the Metropolitan Transportation Authority advised riders to expect delays. So that is freaky. And then let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Do you ride the New York subway? Would this freak you out? Are you not going to be riding tomorrow? Hurricane Ian floods leave a mess. Insurance questions behind. Christine Burnett was inside of her family's Northport home during the Hurricane Ian when one of her children started yelling that water was coming up from the shower, that it started coming in from outside the house. Eventually, the family was forced to climb up to the top of their kitchen cabinets. They put water wings on their 1-year-old and were rescued the next day by boat. After the floodwaters, of course, had finally gone down, Barrett and her family were cleaning out the damp and muddy house. On the front lawn lay chairs, a dresser, couch cushions, flooring planks, and a pile of damp drywall. Similar scenes played out across the block as residents tried to clear out the soggy mess before the mold set in. Northport is about 5 miles inland, which is crazy to think about, that 5 miles inland they flooded up to, the top of, 8 feet, 10 feet or whatever. It says that inland, and the Barretts, like many of its residents, live in areas where flood insurance isn't required, and therefore they don't have it. Many wonder if they'll afford much-needed repairs. Nobody in this neighborhood has flood insurance because we are a non-flooding area, but we got 14 inches of water in our house. Many people associate hurricanes with wind damage, downed power lines, shingles, or roofing materials ripped off, trees blown over into homes, or windows smashed by flying objects. And Hurricane Ian's 150-mile-per-hour winds certainly caused widespread damage. But hurricanes can also pack a massive storm surge, as Ian did in places like Naples and Fort Myers Beach. Heavy rains from the hurricanes can also cause widespread flooding far from the beach. Ian dumped rain for hours as it lumbered across the state, sending waterways spilling into their banks and into homes and businesses far inland from where Ian made landfall. People were using kayaks to evacuate their flooded homes, and floodwaters in some areas have still not gone down a week after landfall. So when that first day happened, we had a lot of Fugel family that were actually in Florida. I'm hoping that everybody got out there. There's still one Fugel family member that we have not been able to reach. I talked to a family member about 4 days ago, and they said that they didn't want it to be mentioned because they are still they're actually looking for this person. There were, of course, many deaths, and so that is a very concerning thing. The person that actually suggested looking for them was another Fugel family member. So that is one really awesome part about our community, is a lot of people will notice if somebody goes missing, and it's kind of a freaky thing. As far as some of the other Fugel family members that people were concerned about, we've checked in with a lot of them, and most of them are safe. Heartbroken survivor, and of course Jay made it out, but there are some people I'm assuming that didn't. So I'm praying for the people, especially these people, especially in Fugel fam that may have had this happen in Fort Myers and in Naples. They didn't have insurance for this kind of stuff. They didn't have any kind of coverage. So this is really going to screw people on top of everything that has happened since 2019. Now they're going to have their homes destroyed and probably not get it covered. So this is a really horrendous thing on top of all of the other disasters that have happened, and all of the inflation and all of the currencies, toppling, and on the top of the conflict and food prices and gas prices and everything else. Now they're going to have to foot the bill for, to repair a huge flood, which it is kind of a piece of advice. Even if you're not in an area that could have flooding, rain can happen anywhere. I would say it's worth it if you can get it. A lot of places, again, it doesn't require it, but it's definitely a good idea. Dex, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't live in a flood area. I don't have flood insurance, but it rained so hard one time that water flooded into my house. Not from anywhere, just from the fact that the runoff didn't work correctly on our property. And no one pays for that. No insurance covers that. So if you don't have flood insurance, you get water in from a storm, you're kind of up a creek without a paddle. Fortunately, ours was not a lot. It was just one room that got wet, but I could only imagine what, 14 inches of water in your home or in some houses with feet of water in their home, what that does.
Now, Dex, while we still have you here, as far as the Union Square thing, was there anything you thought of on that? As far as, is there any update on that? Can we just check?
One place I thought they said that was potentially pepper spray. But I'm not sure if they know why and what was happening there, other than everything was back to normal. I don't know if they've got someone that they're looking into that caused this, or if it was an accidental thing, or if it was an intentional thing.
Well, it makes a whole lot of sense.
It seems like it's intentional.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. Maybe if somebody was getting harassed. So here's the thing. We've seen so many videos, and we've shown you some of these, women getting harassed on the subway, and nobody steps in. It's really quite sick. There's so many social media videos, too many. After I saw like one or two on... I want to say it was on Shorts, it started feeding me more of these videos of people getting harassed, men and women getting harassed on the trains, and there's a bunch of people that just stand there and mind their own business. I get that New York is kind of like, yeah, whatever, take care of yourself kind of thing, but I think that it wasn't like that. Like New Yorkers, especially after, 2001, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you're in New York City, have you felt like it's kind of turned into, Seattle? We have something called the Seattle freeze. When you're walking down the street, nobody says hi. If you say hi, people just, look at you weird. Nobody says, it's not a friendly city. Now, New York is not exactly like that either. But if a woman is getting beat up or something, New Yorkers will jump in and protect them. Or at least that's the impression I got. And I've known people that lived in New York. They always said, when it really matters, a New Yorker's got your back. It's kind of like it's like an unspoken rule. But lately, there have been people getting harassed and even assaulted in many gross ways, and people are just sitting there. And you see these videos of 12, 13, 14 people, including big men that could step in and do something, and they don't. I don't understand that. I'm sure most of us have probably stepped in one time or another, just being in the right place in the right time and trying to help somebody. I just don't see not helping people doing this. So I could see somebody getting pepper sprayed because they're harassing. I'm pretty sure, most people riding that subway probably carry something like that at this point, especially since everybody else has seen these videos too. Nobody's going to help you. And that brings a greater point that, why is society getting like this? Nobody's stepping up to help each other. It's pretty sad. We've seen so many other videos outside the subway of just people sitting there and TikToking or videotaping people as they're suffering. It's like the most horrible episode of Seinfeld, only real life. Which, by the way, the ending of Seinfeld was just horrendous. They should just delete the whole show after that ending. And then a very great comment by Survival Game says pentagram is a point down in a circle. Pentacle is point up in a circle. I don't see a circle, just a star. Pentagram equals evil. Pentacle equals protection. So I don't know all of the details on that, but it looks like you are right. Maybe that is a pentacle, not a pentagram. I guess I'm not up on my pentas. My pentas? My potentacies? Potentacies? I think that's plural, but I'm not sure. Electric vehicles are exploding from water damage after Hurricane Ian, Florida official warns. Personally, and I wonder, they specifically show a Tesla on fire here. I'm wondering how Tesla is actually going to respond to this, because that's pretty bad. If they do get in floodwater, are they just going to blow up? It says a top Florida state official warned Thursday that firefighters have battled a number of fires caused by electric vehicles, EV batteries waterlogged from Hurricane Ian. EV batteries that have been waterlogged in the wake of hurricane are at risk of corrosion, which will then lead to unexpected fires, according to Jimmy Petronas, the state's top financial officer and fire marshal. It says there's a ton of EVs disabled from Ian. As those batteries corrode, fires start, Petronas tweeted Thursday. That's a new challenge that our firefighters haven't faced before, at least on this kind of scale. It takes special training and understanding of EVs to ensure that these fires are put out quickly and safely. So this is one more downside to these electric vehicles. In a flood, they essentially, have this series of events happen and could possibly blow up. That's kind of freaky. Seems to me like just the good old gas-powered engines are they're getting a win in this category. And then a YouTuber's disaster towing with the F-150 Lightning highlights one of the drawbacks of electric trucks today. Now, Dex, you're going to be on the phone, but of course, we've talked about the electric trucks, and we had a conversation about this last week. This basically has a huge drawback. It says one YouTuber learned the hard way that towing a heavy load is more complicated with an electric truck than a gasoline-powered one. In a recent video on his Hoovy's Garage channel, Tyler Hoover put the towing capability of his Ford F-150 Lightning to the test, and he called the experience a complete and total disaster. The Sega illustrates one of the challenges to owning a battery-powered truck: towing range. Hoover charged up his Lightning to 200 miles, almost all of its 230-mile range, and set out for a trip to his mechanic 32 miles away to pick up a 1930 Model A and tow it home. As soon as Hoover set out pulling an empty trailer, the Lightning's range started dropping like a stone. It says in the end, the 64-mile journey sucked up 150 miles of range from the Lightning's battery. It says the truck towing 3,500 pounds can't even go 100 miles, he said. That is ridiculously stupid. This truck can't do normal truck things. To be sure, Hoover's test wasn't exactly scientific. In a follow-up video, he conceded that his trailer and boxy 1930 weren't especially aerodynamic. That doesn't matter. If you get one of these electric-powered trucks right now, they can't tow anything. Or at least not anything economically. Like, that's horrible. If you can't even go 100 miles, then what? I mean, you get a truck to either haul things or to tow things. I would assume if you filled up the bed of the truck, it would be the same thing. If you're adding extra weight and you were towing something or you're putting weight on the actual vehicle, then it's going to end up losing half of its mileage. That's more than half. So it sucked up basically double what it would normally suck up. And 230 miles isn't even a great range. Here's the crazy part. A normal F-130, I don't know how much these things cost, but I'm pretty sure they're up there in like the 40s, 50s, $60,000. And you're buying it as a truck. I think this is nuts. Do any of you even have electric trucks out there? There's not many out on the road yet. But, of course, it's supposed to be the big next thing. They're cool. They have, like, 0 to 60s and crazy numbers, like, 5 seconds or something. These things are incredible as far as if you were driving them. But the range, how the heck are they supposed to get this to where we're switching over to these in 8 years? Are they going to, catch up in technology? Who knows? Hopkinson says never. How about electric fighter jets, says the Jim Reaper. Yeah. If you've seen the new Top Gun, even the new Top Gun Maverick, that talks about how basically, ace pilots are going to be out of a job pretty soon here because they're not even going to have pilots. An electric truck could not meet my needs, says Stealth Mode. I don't think it can. I don't think for what most people are doing, unless they're buying a big truck just for the looks of it, which a lot of people do, I don't think that these things are even going to work yet. Obviously, this is, and then look at how much material is wasted on these things if people aren't even going to use them for stuff. I bet you there's people out there that are buying a $60,000 truck and then selling it right back, and it's just a process of reselling it, or they keep it and they end up buying a diesel or a gas-powered truck to actually meet their needs. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. It wouldn't do good in construction, Paul Grice says. Yeah. I'm sorry, but that's just stupid. Even in town, if it's sucking up twice the range, I could just imagine going to the dump a couple times or, picking up stuff or hauling anything, and then you lose half of your electricity, and then you have to charge it again. It's not like you can keep extra electricity in the truck. I guess, actually, I didn't think about this, Dex. I wonder if you could actually put a generator, a gas-powered generator in your truck or in the back of your truck, or a solar generator, and actually keep it charged up. That would be kind of a cool thing.
I think that would defeat the purpose. Why wouldn't you just get a gas engine?
No, a solar generator. You're right on the gas.
Oh
part
yeah,
there.
that would then you just might as well put a giant battery in the back and haul that so you can get double your range, but then you can't put anything in your truck, right? And a solar generator would take forever to charge that vehicle, I'm sure. But that range is ridiculous. I could just only imagine you get a big truck and you're like, oh, this is awesome. And you look at the tow rating and it can tow like all this heavy weight. And you're like, wow, the torque on that's awesome. And then you do it. And then all of a sudden you can only go like 50, 60 or 100 miles. That's crazy.
Well, yeah. You get down the street and it's like, out of power, please charge. That's how the trucks sound. Out of power, please charge. Hello? What? You want me to do the voice for the GPS for F-150 Lightnings? Oh, sure. Okay, I'll call you back. That was Ford F-150 Lightning calling. Apparently its phone died. Didn't have enough juice. I'm sorry, that was horrible. Before we talk about oil dispute prompts call to remove U.S. troops from Saudi Arabia, let me remind you guys, if you haven't already, you can protect yourself against electromagnetic pulse. We have talked about EMPs and CMEs a lot here because it is one of the biggest things that people are prepping for. There is a company that can actually outfit your cars, your boats, your motorcycles, your trucks, probably in the future, electric trucks, and your home, even your ham radio can get an EMP shield, a protection for it. This can actually protect against all three phases of an EMP, E1, E2, and E3, and it can protect against a Carrington level event. If we do have an event like this, it's going to be pretty much everybody on their own for right now. We are still so vulnerable that they say 90% of us would perish here just in the U.S. Due to not having infrastructure. The entire infrastructure would go down. We would not have drinkable, potable water. So one thing, have extra water, but two, if you want to protect your car so you can keep running or bug out when you actually want to bug out, then you can get a device that's easily wired in about 10 minutes. So make sure to go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. And then we're going to bring on our first caller. Big Bad John is a first-time caller talking about UKR and OPEC. Big Bad John, what's going on? You are live on Marfoogle News.
Hey, Adam, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. So you wanted to talk about OPEC?
I did, sir. Something that I kind of noticed last night when I was watching the news, Reuters, which of course is a legitimate news, channel to a lot of people. A guy from OPEC came on and was talking about reducing oil production by about 2 million barrels a day, right? And so I just decided to Google a little information just to check, And so it turns out that I wanted to find out if how much oil and natural gas was produced by the UKR, right? And it turns out, well, they do produce quite a bit. 90% of that is going to be in the eastern part of the UKR, which has just been annexed by Vlad, of course. And so I'm just kind of wondering if there hasn't been a plan in place for quite a while now, because you had Z himself back in February, which anybody can go look up and see him say it, that if there's going to be a one world government, that he wants to be the one in charge of it. And we've had several senators of the United States since then voice that same concern, saying that Z would rather do that instead of us. So it just kind of seems that you have this, almost siege mentality of cutting off supplies to the U.S. You have OPEC cutting supplies. You have Vlad taking over parts of the world that might help us out if that happens. And then, of course, you have Z, who has been stockpiling over 50% of the world's grain since last year and whatnot. So it just kind of made me wonder about, I've always thought for the last 10, 15 years that the wars of the future might be fought over natural resources, of course. And right now, that almost seems to be in play.
And I don't think people want to admit it, because then it would also be kind of giving into the fact that they say something is changing with the world. It doesn't mean that the world is changing or that the weather is changing or anything else. It could be that we are actually running out of certain things. There also is that little part there that if they
Absolutely.
are stockpiling all this stuff, that there could be a disaster on the way. Maybe they know an asteroid's going to hit a certain year or something. Or I don't know, but I do.
Absolutely.
It makes sense, because why is Gates buying up farmland? Why are the most influential people and in the know? These are people that are making the decisions for everything. Why are they buying farmland? Why is Xi buying farmland? Why is Gates buying farmland?
Right.
It makes perfect sense that food in the future may become
Yes, sir.
extremely important, like a currency. I mean, this could be what ends up, money gets backed on after everything is everything else is thrown away.
Even the Kardashians have put in a bunker. I mean, that kind of tells you something there.
That's that is like the most terrifying headline ever. Kardashians build bunker. Well, hey, and by the way, Kanye is now heavily involved with the Kardashians. He is friends with presidents, and it's like, anybody who is friends with a president of the United States or a prime minister or anything like that, and you see them building bunkers, it's like you wonder what kind of conversations did they have off camera with those friends. Right. You know what I mean? It's freaky.
Well, and on another note, when you look back towards the beginning of 2022, you see where Sweden and Poland and Finland and different places, like Sweden hired a kindergarten teacher. I think that was last year, actually. Sweden hired a kindergarten teacher to put together a book for, like an apocalyptic situation, an emergency situation, how to stockpile food and different things, water and whatnot. You had Poland, which I think at the beginning of this year put out a pamphlet for, their citizens as far as trying to stockpile and things like that. You had China, which last year, I think, was telling their citizens, be sure to stockpile enough food, water and such for an event that might last several weeks or whatnot. You got different countries of the world telling their people to, hey guys, just to be safe, how about you put a few things away to be safe or whatnot, and then you have us, which is saying, hey guys, everything's great. The jobs are looking up, unemployment is actually looking down. And, I hate to say it, but it's almost like that mentality of that one movie that came out, Don't Look Up or whatever, not saying that's the case, of course. I'm not going to get into politics or whatnot, because that can go in so many different directions, but it just seems like there's a lot of people all over the planet that are preparing for something. Meanwhile, we are over here just kind of trying to act like everything's normal. And I just wonder, at which point do we, besides us in the prepper community and your viewers and other viewers of the preppers on YouTube, start saying, guys, there's a problem here. You got currencies all over the planet that are just falling, and the dollar just seems to be kind of going, oh, we're just fine, but yet the Fed, the guys in charge of the monetary system in our country want to tell us that we're going to keep raising interest rates because that helps fight inflation. And people actually believe that. And so at which point do we all just say, guys, at which point do we, I'm sorry, Adam, I'm at a loss for words.
Well, so okay. Do most of you agree right now? Because I think that's like a clappable encore moment. So the rest of the world and most of the people that call this kind of content fear-mongering, they are trying to deny what is in front of us. It's not just us anymore. It's not like even 5-6 years ago where I guess this kind of content back then, you could say there wasn't as much, but now after CV and after the whole world and all of these events that are right in our face, if you look at any other country's news, they are talking about the same thing, only worse. Ours is, putting this layer of distractions over it, and there's always some sort of big thing that's on the rotation cycle. And what's crazy is, say if they take an event where somebody walks into a store and does horrible things and, takes lives or whatever. That happens all the time. If you look in every state, there's so many crimes and these things happening. But if they do need something, they will grab one that happens on a regular basis, because here's the thing. Every time one of those happens, they say, we've already had 345 this year. Why didn't you cover all 345? Well, because when they need the timing, they'll grab whatever happens that day and they'll make it huge. And all of the media is connected. It's all owned by the same families. And they'll put it all over the place. And they'll saturate the media with it. And then everybody's focused on that. Everybody's talking at the water cooler. What people are talking about now, they're kind of talking about WW3, but everybody has this back voice that says, "Oh, well, it's all going to go back to normal. It's all going to go fine." China stockpiling this food is huge.
On a quick note, Adam, I have like 500-600 friends on Facebook, and you know what? And there are all kinds of walks of life: martial arts instructors, weightlifters, football players, just cool people, and not a one of them is talking about anything that is going on right now. Not a one of them. I'm not saying people need to be paranoid, and whatnot, but, there needs to be a discussion among people as far as, guys, what is going on and what do we do? But nobody I know is talking about it. I know people from Australia to the UK to Europe, Canada, US, brother, and nobody is really talking about it. It just blows my mind.
And they are covering it. It's just that people choose not to pay attention to it. By the way, I pulled up an article that says Taiwan fears intimidation from Xi as the whole country stockpiles in case of blockade. They are preparing very clearly for if the same kind of sanctions hit China, they are preparing for this by stockpiling supplies. Or there is something else. Either way, it's a bad event. And this whole business from CIA saying, oh, we have information that they just told them that they're going to invade in 2027, that immediately puts people at ease. As long as it's not in the near future, if it's even if it's a year out, people go, if they
push it down the road
5 years down the road, they're like, well, we still got time. I don't have to worry about it right now, because everyone is right now. They only worry about what's happening today in the present. Yes. That's why they don't look at the past. That's why they don't keep track of all these archived pieces of information. That's why we started archiving, because when you look back at all of the stuff that HHS and DHS and DOD and all of these things are doing, all of the ammo and everything they've been buying for years, all of the Vs that they're putting together for stuff, just the recent purchase yesterday or the day before of $290 million worth of radiation sickness stuff. It's like, this is all
which, if you look at the price of those doses, look how far that goes.
Well, how far do you think it goes? I would think it doesn't go far, right?
They're like 1,200 a dose. Those are shots.
Yeah, so that's only going to get
shots. They're
the
like
top
1,200
people.
a dose.
So basically the top people will have it, but nobody else will.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Wow. $1,200 a dose. That would be insanity.
Yes, sir. They are shots. It's not a pill or anything. It's a shot.
Wow. So basically, all of the government officials and all of their friends and family, they'll be good. And that's why I think it's like the people at the very top, they think, well, okay, this can happen, but we'll be cool because we'll know it's happening before it happens. We'll be able to go get our stuff in order. And this is the thing. If they did know something was going to happen, they would go, oh, well, it's okay because we have information. Information is king here. And they are able to prepare. They're able to make bunkers. They're able to move to locations. Look at all the people that are moving, that are getting these Plan B citizenships in other countries, and a lot in New Zealand for whatever reason.
Sir.
And it's like,
well, did you see? I think it was towards the end of last year, beginning of this year, where New Zealand actually ratified their laws to where foreigners cannot come in and buy any more land.
They did that, but you know that there's a loophole to that, and it depends on how much money you spend. So the very richest people can still buy land there. If it's over like $1 million.
No, I did not know that, sir.
So to the general, because you know why? Because the general people in New Zealand could not buy property because other countries were actually, grabbing all of the property up.
Dadgum.
So if you are rich and if you are a politician, you can still grab a piece of property there. You just have to spend a certain amount, and you will get immediate citizenship on that as well. You're basically buying your citizenship.
Well, I guess I'm going to be Mad Maxing it, brother.
Right? I think we all could be. If this keeps going the way it's going, we will all be Mad Maxing it. And people don't want to think about it. They want to put it on the back burner. But the back burner's here. The back burner just got turned on, and it's starting to cook.
Yeah, it sure seems that way, doesn't it?
Well, Big Bad John, thank you for calling in. I can't believe this is your first time call. Will you not be a stranger? Can you call back?
Brother, I will holler at you again, sir. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, Big Bad John.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, Adam. Absolutely. I've enjoyed your show. It's been great. I really have enjoyed it, sir. So yeah, I will definitely call back.
All right. Well, thank you, Big Bad John. And thank you. So Big Bad John was awesome. I love calls like that. I love when people can be like, it's the end of the world. Because that's kind of the attitude we have to have at this point. Like everybody knows, we got to be positive about this. There's nothing, if an asteroid was going to hit Earth, there's not much we can do. But the thing is, most disasters are survivable, and that's why people should not be afraid. That's where it comes from. Don't be scared, be prepared. People can survive earthquakes. People can survive tsunamis. People have survived almost every kind of disaster. And the odds are that a lot of the people that did survive, they ended up having some forethought to those disasters. People that prepared or had food. I know there's all sorts of stories out there already. Anybody that ended up, preparing for something beforehand. We look at news from a prepper standpoint. So if you're new here, I see a bunch of new subscribers there. If you're new, then just understand, we're looking at this. We've been looking at this for years, and there were a lot of really obvious patterns, and some of them were pointed out. They were pointed out by journalists. They were pointed out by Fugel family. They were pointed out by everybody. And now they're happening. When you have any huge group of people with a theory, a lot of the times those theories are correct. And a lot of the times they'll try to say, oh, these are BS theories. Look at how many things have come true over the years. I mean, them using Walmarts as detainment centers and things. Like, oh, you're cuckoo. Well, then we found out that Walmarts were literally being used as detainment centers. It's like people got knocked off the internet for that. And then when somebody got a camera inside one of them, they were like, oh, whoops. Did they bring those people back? No, they did not. Now, that was for immigration, but again, still, it was like there was part truth. So you just kind of wonder, of all of the theories out there, it's like how many, what percentage truth are they? You just got to keep asking questions. And then an oil dispute prompts call to remove U.S. troops from Saudi Arabia. This is coming from the UAE. It says a trio of Democratic lawmakers want to pull all U.S. troops out of Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates after an alliance of oil-producing countries announced it is slashing production, a move which is expected to drive up U.S. gas prices, which, we all need right now. I bet those electric truck owners are like, yeah. But they're, of course, doing that from the side of the road. Democratic Reps Tom Malinowski Of New Jersey, a former State Department official in the Obama administration, Sean Casten of Illinois, and Susan Wild of Pennsylvania announced Wednesday night that they were introducing a bill to remove all U.S. forces and military equipment from the two oil-rich nations. Okay, another thing to look at this, how to look at this, if this goes through and everything, we're basically pulling back all of our military from everywhere. This isn't the only place. We have military stationed around the world, and we're pulling back a ton of them. There's all other other bills and other things. They're trying to get everybody out of everywhere. It's kind of weird. Dex, when you saw the whole, and again, I don't know if you're grabbing that caller, but when you saw that we are pulling out troops out of there, did you have that thought? I know it obviously has this impact on this whole oil situation, but
well, we're not actually pulling them, but they're discussing it, and I think
it's a bill.
It's a bill, so it's coming from lawmakers that don't have the power to necessarily do it immediately. Like the president could just go in and say we're going to pull them out, right?
Yeah, but why would they want to do that?
They're doing it because they're trying to say we should punish OPEC for charging us more for oil and reducing production. When we're asking them to increase production and to not charge us more, and instead they're keeping prices low on Russia, keeping it low on Europe and others, but they're racking the price up on us, and they're lowering production, which also increases the price. So, we spend all this money to protect them. We spend all this money in military and gear, and it's like, we do all of this for you, and you're not going to do that for us. So if that's the case, then that's our leverage, right? Well, we'll pull this out if you don't want to play. It's sort of how the U.S. operates. If you're not going to do what we want, then we're not going to do what you want us to do.
Yeah, and I saw the whole. There was this. Well, I from the source it comes from, they probably will yell, take us down or something. But there was a really good article about how there was a secret promise from the president to OPEC or something, and the actual Department of Energy was like, no, and the Department of Energy, the person who runs it, was basically caught off guard, said the complete opposite, was like, whoa, I didn't know about this, and it made us look really, really dumb. Dex, I'll send you that article. It's a Zero Hedge article, and I'll make sure we include it on the web only if you didn't get it already. Do you have something? I
don't think I have that one, but I'll try and find it. Otherwise, send it to me.
It's yesterday or the day before. I thought I sent it to you. So yeah, that was a good article and very, very good points. It says both countries have long relied on American military presence in the Gulf to protect their security and oil fields. We see no reason why American troops or contractors should continue to provide this service if countries are actively working against us. I always think about what's going on behind the scenes, though. Is this over what they say it is? I just never believe anything. But it's not that many. It's not that many troops in the grand scheme of things. And then President B says he'll release 10 million more barrels from the dwindling oil piggy bank after OPEC's production cuts. But this is a big risk with more withdrawals. So that was part of this whole promise thing. And they said that they would buy the amount to restore what was in our, oil reserves. And apparently that was done without, talking to anybody. In an effort to counter rising prices at the pump, President B plans to plunder the country's biggest oil piggy bank. In November, the Department of Energy will deliver 10 million barrels from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, or SPR, to the market, the world's largest supply of emergency crude oil. Which is funny, they'll release this stuff right before, it's ballot time, right? That always helps approval ratings if the gas goes down lower temporarily. But right after that time period, I bet it will be $6, $7. Who knows? They saw gas prices almost right under $10 in California at the peak of this whole thing. And then President's decision comes after the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC Plus, said that it would slash oil production by 2 million barrels per day, putting extra pressure on the global energy supply. However, the country's emergency reserve is already at its lowest levels since 1984. Some experts have concerns about the long-term implications. So in 37 years, we have not seen it this low, and now it's going to get even lower. And it says U.S. gas prices are going up again. This we already kind of know, and we've been telling you for the last week, because of the actions that were happening, that most likely you are going to see another surge at the pump. Nobody's really looking forward to this, and it's hurting people. It's hurting people a lot. And then mystery boom. Okay, this is huge. Something is going on, and just watch. I bet you later on we're going to find out something else is going on. I'm hoping it's not what I think it is. Late Thursday morning, a big boom shook parts of the Outer Banks, rattling windows, shaking pictures off the walls, scaring family pets, and driving people to social media to see if anybody knew the source. The rumbles are a jarring but familiar phenomena along with a chain of barrier islands in North Carolina. They even have a name, Seneca guns, but what causes the episodes, which have been heard or felt for centuries, is a long-debated mystery. Thursday's single boom vibrated across Kitty Hawk and Kill Devil Hills. I mean, gosh, what a place for this to happen. Around 11:30 a.m., the on-duty seismologist at the U.S. Geological Survey searched for any seismic activity in the area strong enough to cause the boom, but found nothing. Now, some of the theories are that these were sonic booms, and this was actually jets responding to something off in the ocean off the East Coast. That is a definite potential thing. But as far as this whole thing it's happened for centuries and things, so is anybody from this area, first of all? Has anybody heard this personally? And then, Dex, have you ever heard of this? I've never heard of this as far as the mystery booms. I've heard of mystery booms around the world, but this one they're saying is something they still can't explain, and it happens on a regular basis. Is this military jets and they're just not telling people, or?
I've never heard of those booms. It doesn't mean that they don't exist, and obviously they do because people have reported on them for a while, but this coincides with what we reported yesterday. I think it was no one here yet brought it to our attention that another streamer, and I went and found some stuff on the ADBS exchange to sort of to tie that together, showing that there was a lot of activity right off this area. It was right off Virginia Beach and south, a little north and a little south out in the water there. And what had been reported earlier in the day was there was sub-hunters out there looking. I did see an F-35 at one point later in the night there, probably coming off of an aircraft carrier because of the way it looked, but it could have just gone on and off the ADBS. But to think that there was like 3 different refuelers running at that time. There was a whole lot of Poseidons going around looking, doing what would normally look like sub hunting. And of course, a lot of people speculated that they were looking for something. This all happens at the same time that this boom goes off. So it could have been military, and it maybe the military is not going to say it is. They may just, put out standard, no, it's not us, because they don't want to talk about it. I don't know. Or it could be some mysterious thing underground that happens there.
Well, also you have all of the weird stuff with the other Poseidon, the drone, the mysterious Russian sub that has the potential 1,600-foot nuclear wave causing drone out there. You also have Navy, and Xi's Navy and Vlad's Navy are doing all sorts of weird things. You've spotted Russian Navy outside of Hawaii. You've spotted Chinese Navy, of course, doing these weird amphibious drills, and then Russian and Chinese Navy doing drills outside of Alaska. So you have all sorts of activity going on in the Arctic, in the oceans, and then, of course, we just deployed, NATO deployed one of the most advanced carriers, the Ford, I believe, the Gerald Ford carrier. That thing ended up going over there. It's like, what the hell is going on? On top of all of the others that were actually already deployed. If you follow, there's webcams all along our East Coast and West Coast, and a lot of those webcams for a minute there were turned off, and then when they were on, we saw all of these deployments, and that's how people saw. It was very public. I mean, these are publicly available cameras on a lot of our ports. And all of these deployments happened all at the same time, right at the very beginning of this whole thing in February. And obviously something was going on. And I want to say, what was that, like the 19th or something before the 24th? I want to say it was the 18th or 19th, right before all this started. And it was like, when you see those kind of deployments, you know something big is going to happen. And then, boom. That also the ships that supply a long-term military movement, those were deployed. These are ships that basically resupply. Those deployed. Some are saying that those are deploying again, and even more of them are now deploying all of the ports. And then, of course, at the same time, you had that NATO strike group and the NATO advanced carrier. So obviously things are going on. It's not just in our heads. It's all over the world. Every single country, media is talking about it. And then what's weird to me is that the U.S. media and a lot in Europe, Europe's media is better than ours as far as what's coming out right now. But a lot of the media inside the U.S. is hiding stuff. That's my opinion. What's yours? Redeemed, thank you for your support, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Looks like a super sticker, perhaps. You can always leave a comment as well. I value the comments a lot because you can end up doing a shout out or getting a point across or sharing a story. Free food, thank you as well. Let your love light shine. Well, thank you, Free Food. And how are you doing? I believe if this is the same Free Food, I hope you're doing well. And I think you have a channel, don't you? And then Drop's Family Garden. Thank you. Says from Drop and Murphy's Law. Well, I hope you guys are doing well. Says God bless. So I was super surprised that didn't realize you guys got together a few months ago when I found that out. That is really cool. And I believe you guys met through the Foogle fam. Stephen McMahon, what a crying shame. This world is so beautiful. Yes, it is. And so ugly at the same time. How is that possible? And then I Love Jesus Forever. Thank you for super chatting. Release the Quacken. Aren't you normally over on D-Live? Thank you so much. I appreciate your support. And then Catherine Wilson says, God bless always. Thank you for all you do. And Stephen McMahon says, I predict JoJo will be out of office within 2 weeks. I don't think Kamalita or Kamalaita will be put in. I think it will be Pazuzu. Well, technically, I don't think that could happen unless they both get taken out at the same time. I looked into it after the other day when we talked about that. And then Miss Dragon says, Pentagram in Wicca. Point up is male athame. Point down the top is female or chalice. Okay, I get what you're saying. So would that be a female pentacle? And then Survival Game says, I want a hydro car. Which, by the way, Survival Game, Ilea, will literally, if the whole crowd is like, oh, we hate this and whatever else, she will be the first one to be like, I love those things. She does not care what anybody thinks, and that's what I actually like about her. She doesn't care. She will share her opinion, even if 10 people in the room are like, we're we don't believe in that, blah, blah, blah. She'll be like, oh, I do that every day. And those are the kind of real people you gotta have in your circle. So thank you so much, Survival Game. Lots of new people, thank you. And Big Bad John's mama just subscribed. Well, welcome. I'm glad that your son is an awesome guy, and hope you stick around. And then U.S.-UK hold drone drill in the Persian Gulf after Iran seizures. Dex. So they have actually held this drill, pretty much perfect timing for a tit for tat kind of thing. And is there anything special about these drills that anybody should be worried about?
This is the same type of device we've talked about with these drills. It's like that autonomous floating sailboat looking thing with like a sail drone on it, and it's got solar panels on it. I think it was the one they picked up. Remember, I think the last time we reported on it, the iCountry Navy had picked it up and was playing with it, and then threw it back in the water because our ships were coming close to them, so they didn't want to get caught holding it or messing with it. But yes, that appears to be what's happening again. Is another one of those tests of the unmanned surveillance ships.
They're like a bunch of kids that found something cool, and then the owner comes walking over there. Oh, drop it! Run! Hide behind the bush. I doubt they had any bushes in the ocean, but if they did, they would have jumped behind it Superman style. So the exercise comes as U.S. Navy separately told commercial shippers in the wider Mid-East that it would continue using drones in the region and warned against interfering with their operations. Last time they took it out of the water, they messed with it, they put it on their boat, they were looking at it, and then they put it back. These drones are becoming an increasingly bigger part of all of these drills. Like I mentioned earlier in Top Gun, they kind of hinted like, Tom Cruise, there's not going to be a pilot like you soon. We're all going to be automated. All the jets will be automated. And it's true. It is happening. We always cover all the drills. This is important because it is an exercise or drill. We cover all of them. If you want updates on all of the crazy U.S. drills, Russian drills, Chinese drills, whatever country is doing something important, we always follow them because a lot of the times the exercises or drills will give some foreshadowing to what will happen in the future, or some sort of either prediction, or it kind of tells you what they are preparing for. So keep that in mind. Make sure to subscribe. All right, and then Dex, you're going to be getting our next caller on, which it looks like Justin. We're going to be getting Justin on the phone. So while you get him on the phone, I do want to remind you guys, if you haven't already, you can get long-term survival food, which is one of the best things to get from marfooglenews.com/prep, powered by My Patriot Supply, because all of the food has a 25-plus year shelf life, and it's all freeze-dried. It keeps almost all of the flavor, and they have it packaged in really convenient packages. You can get a 72-hour kit that you can just throw in your bag. You can get a 1-month kit. You can even get a 3-month kit right now at 20% off. There's all sorts of deals, so make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/prep. Not only are you getting a discount on it, but you are also helping our channel. They give us a small commission when you order on top of your discount. So it's a win-win for everybody. You're supporting independent media, and you're getting prepared at the same time. As far as the food goes, I would highly recommend looking into the different packages. As far as the price on these right now is at a huge discount. Now, even if it wasn't, if you're looking into long-term survival food, realize it's 25 years that this will be good. So in 3 years from now, when all freeze-dried food is triple the price, you'll be going, well, I still have 22 years left on this food. If we have any kind of disaster in the next 25 years, that's kind of a long time out. And if you look at how it is right now, most people are thinking it's going to happen in 2 to 3, 4, or 5 years. You will still have 20 more years on the shelf after that happens. So again, go over and check it out. They have all sorts of great things. Think about this. If you get a 1-month kit, you've got 2 weeks for 2 people. If you got a 3-month kit, you got a 45 days for 2 people, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and enough to get by and survive and even enjoy it. This is really good food. Just add water in most cases or cook in sauce, and you've got yourself a meal just like you went to the store and made it. They really do have really yummy foods. I would highly recommend checking it out. All right, let's get Justin on. Justin, you are live on Marfoogle News. What is going on?
Adam, it's a pleasure to be on with you this evening. Long-time watcher, first-time caller. Been seeing some strange things. I live in Missouri. We have a lot of hardwood trees, black walnut, hickory, oak. These trees would normally be absolutely loaded with nuts, and they have virtually none on them. The squirrels are going to war with each other. They're digging up the entire neighborhood. This time of year, squirrels should be digging, but they should be burying nuts. These squirrels are hungry and looking for nuts that they forgot last winter.
Okay, so by the way, you're not the first person who has said this. I want to say one of my mods, was it you, Lisa? I don't know, Lisa R. Hall, if you're here. Someone just told me that this is another thing that we keep getting in, is that flowers or different things are not blooming right, that the seasons are all off, that things that normally happen by, someone, what was it? Somebody told me that they did an elk. They hunted an elk, and there's something with the velvet on their horns, usually like falls off or does something. It was like the velvet on their horns usually either falls off or turns into velvet at a certain time, that the elk still had its velvet after 3 months when it should have already had it fallen off or something like that. Why is this happening? It's really weird.
I'm a little concerned about it. I'm not sure if it's elements in the sky art or if it has to do with solar weather, but even my mulberry bush, very mature mulberry bush, usually produces several gallons of mulberries aside from what everything eats, and it has not produced a single mulberry all year. Even the white pine trees out on the lot where I work have not produced any pine cones this year. The squirrels in my neighborhood are going to war with each other. I'm waiting for McSquizzy to show up with a spear and a bow.
So a few people are saying that their gardens have failed. A few other people are saying that might be related to the poles shifting. Sean Barker says the earth is wobbling. Too much ozone, says Stormcrow. Magnetic gardening. Let's see here. What in the world are they? 80% of my garden.
Yeah, I figured I'd throw it out to the family.
By the way,
I know we're widespread. Everybody can have a look around, see if it's worse. I'm hoping it's not, because it's going to be bad for the wildlife, and that's bad for us.
So, by the way, this is kind of alarming. You come in and you say this, and you call in and you say, "Hey, this is an observation I've made." There's a bunch of people saying, there's at least 2 people saying 80% of my garden failed. Somebody else says Earth is dying. Somebody else said that there's not as many bees. Obviously, we know about like the whole bees are disappearing. What if they're disappearing faster and faster? Which, by the way, I have seen so many less bees the last couple of years. It's insane.
Yeah, I don't see hardly any bees anymore.
No plums this year, says Shannon Terrell. Nuts roll downhill, come to Florida and see. Yeah, well, that's Florida. We're talking about actual trees and things, not people. Just kidding. Florida.
Yeah, it's just something that I've really been paying attention to the last couple weeks. It's got me kind of concerned because, like I said, the squirrels here, they're already starving. And there's a lot of them because we have a lot of hardwood trees.
So if anybody in chat said that, can you please say it again so that we'll make sure even if the chat turns off that they'll be able to see it? I turned the chat on so you could see it on the video. There are so many comments about people seeing similar things. That's really alarming. Justin, very good observation.
Yeah, I was afraid it was more widespread.
Yeah, that's freaky. Now, have you seen the episodes where I've talked about the insect, the windshield theory? Do you know about that?
Oh, absolutely. I've seen every video you've put out since probably your 4th or 5th one.
Oh, thank you, Justin. Well, so the windshield theory, just to explain to anybody, there's a bunch of new people here tonight, is essentially people around the world, and this is really freaky. They're seeing less flying bugs, and the windshield theory is essentially people have been driving for a long time, especially truck drivers, drive across the United States, and usually you have so many bugs hit your windshield or your car, which I bet most of you probably know. Like when you looked at the front of your car, you had all these bugs smushed into your paint, and you always want to wipe them off pretty fast because they can actually hurt your paint. Well, that's been happening a lot less. And it turns out they've done studies, and you will see. You can type in almost every city, every country, and they'll say that there is the insects are disappearing. If you type this in right now, insects are disappearing. You can put any city and you'll find some sort of study that goes that actually pops up. Let me see if this insect apocalypse, the campaign to save bugs from extinction. Earth's insect population shrinks to 27%. That's insane. Go ahead.
Yeah, I work in an auto shop, and part of our service is when somebody comes in wanting an oil change, we also clean their windshield. And that particular job over the last 4 or 5 years has gotten a lot easier, because every day cars would come in loaded with bugs on the windshield. Now you almost never have the trouble of cleaning bugs off a windshield. You might have to clean a little road dust off. You might have to clean something that the car ahead of them threw out their window, but actually having to clean bugs off of a windshield is a rarity now.
Well, Justin, very interesting observation. I'm glad that we were able to show others too. There are so many people commenting right now. We have nearly 4,000 in chat, and there's a ton of people from all over the country and possibly even the world. I saw a couple people that I know live in Australia. They're seeing the same thing. 2 people in Europe, one in the UK, and then somebody that was watching from I think Poland. So yeah, just weird that this is happening globally. And I was really surprised to see this little fact from the Argus. Insect population shrinks 27% in 30 years. It says insects are disappearing at a rate of just under 1% a year. Understand that insects and what is going on with our planet and bees and the nuts and the trees and the everything, that's what keeps it running. Maybe that's why everybody is preparing. Maybe that's why they're trying to get off Earth. Maybe that's why Elon is saying that, we're going to run into a population crisis. That maybe that's why they're fighting over food and resources. Justin, great call. Thank you so much for calling in tonight.
Oh, you are very welcome. Thank you.
All right, well, call us back. Don't be a stranger and give us an update, okay, Justin?
Absolutely. Can I make a shout out real quick before I go?
Go ahead.
Awesome. The members may not be in the house tonight, but, well, I'd like to say thank you and I love you to the entire fam. But to Derek Bros and Jacob Israel, if you gentlemen are listening tonight, thank you very much. I owe my life to the Christ in both of you.
Well,
love the fam. Love you, Adam. Love you, Dex. Everybody have a wonderful night. Be prepared.
Well, thank you so much. And Justin, have a blessed night. And thank you. And all of those people, including Derek Bros, great people. And, of course, Jacob Israel. Thank you. And you have a wonderful night. That was Justin. That was yet another first-time caller from Missouri. On deck, we have Tito, another first-time caller. Lots of first-time callers, or all first-time callers tonight. Nana of Montana, garden plants outside were not doing well. Leaves getting burned, moved into greenhouse, and they did a lot better. Nana, we did not do, last year my wife did a whole ton of gardening. She was having problems with just the basic stuff even popping out. She could do it in the little greenhouse. We have a little 6 foot by 6 foot greenhouse thing, a shack that I built. But it's not the same this year. So I didn't know it was this widespread though. That's really crazy. Cheryl B, thank you for subscribing. Release a Quacking, and apparently D Live is down for some reason. So not like I can tell you over on D Live, but make sure to get over to YouTube. And then Trinity Red Pill, Blue Pill, Hi Ho, Kermit the Frog here says new blood type in a group is called ER blood group. Something is strange. Yeah. Or they're doing some meddling, some God status meddling. Okay, we need to fly through some of this. Exclusive U.S. Navy jet through across Baltic hours after burst. Dex, let's have you cover this one, and I'll get the next one.
Apparently, that's been reported now that as that explosion happened in a very short amount of time, either near it or just after it, we had some flight tracking that was done over that area. I think that had been reported by alternative sources when, maybe a day or two ago, but this is coming out in the mainstream now, and they're talking specifically about the flight data, a P-8 Poseidon that was in that area that went over. Probably doing reconnaissance. The logic would say it would go there after it happened, so that they must have detected something and then went and checked it out. I'm sure other people may question, like, is that timing correct? Was there a plane that was actually involved in that incident? But those are obviously good questions to ask. But that's the gist of the story, is they're coming out and saying, yes, it did go in that area, and it was a P-8 Poseidon.
I wish I had like a Staples button, only it would play the clip of our Prez saying, "Oh, we can do it. Oh, yeah, we'll get it done." Yeah, I'm paraphrasing, of course. The flight data showed the P-8A Poseidon Maritime Patrol and Reconnaissance plane was over the North Sea at roughly the time. This is what Jeffrey Sachs ended up saying on Bloomberg News. And they tried to cut him off like 3 times. And they're like, whoa, you can't say that. And he said that media all over the world and journalists all over the world are telling him, like, yeah, well, this is what we think. I'm surprised that anybody even questioning that isn't getting knocked off right now, because, of course, a lot of people are saying the same thing. Maybe they they can't take everybody off. I don't know. Just to tell you why that matters, if, say, the U.S. did have something to do with it, then that's destroying one of their, $10 billion projects, which is probably a whole lot more now if they tried to rebuild it, permanently damaging them and potentially meddling in things like their relationship with Germany. Some even think that Germany might get so pissed off that they would, pop over to Vlad's side, and it would, break up NATO. So lots of crazy stuff. Basically, you better hope it was Vlad that did it to himself. Most people look at the common sense thing of like that and like, why would he do that when he could just turn it off? It was already off. I don't know. And then Vlad orders his country to seize Exxon-led Sakhalin-1 oil and gas project. So it does say that Vlad has signed a decree published on Friday to set up a new operator for the Sakhalin-1 oil and gas project, following similar steps to seize other oil and gas projects with foreign participation. ExxonMobil Group, with a 30% stake, was the operator of the Sakhalin-1, a development in Russia's Far East. Earlier this year, Exxon took a $4.6 billion impairment charge for exiting the project, its largest investment in Vlad's country. Although its head of upstream operations said on Tuesday it will still be working with its partners on its exit. The Vlad's country's company, Rosneft, is a partner in the project along with ONGC. Now, remember that name, Rosneft. Rosneft ended up buying, just recently we had a caller, I want to say it was Rosneft, that ended up buying a bunch of factories here. Dex, do you remember that when I want to say it was Rosneft that is a giant oil company that ended up buying local buildings here, I think right before this all happened? Do you remember something like that? I feel like it was...
I do remember it. I don't remember the name, but I do remember the call.
I feel like it was a factory that was normally like a wood factory or something like that. Either way, it says the decree said that the Russian government was setting up a new Russian limited liability company which would own the investors' rights, including the operators' rights of Exxon Naftogaz Limited. It said that foreign partners should apply to the government within a month after the new company is set up to notify it of the agreement to take up shares in the new entity in accordance with the stakes in the previous company. So are they setting up this huge other seems like the U.S. is getting cut out of everything, and the rest of these other countries are basically making do without us. I don't know. And then Vlad beginning to prepare their society to launch a nuclear attack. Zelensky warns, adds, Putin is not ready to do it. So if you did not see the speech that Green Shirt did, which I think he changed his shirt into like a like I swear I saw him one time without a green shirt. But Green Shirt basically said that that Vlad, that he is asking for us to, the U.S., to strike with nuclear weapons before he strikes with nuclear weapons. He's saying we need a preemptive strike now, not vice versa, that we can't wait until they strike us. This is kind of similar to when he was asking before the invasion, saying, hey, you need your stuff here now, not after they invade. And then they invaded. So if it goes by the same pattern, are we going to see a nuke go off in Ukraine? That is my question. What do you guys think? It says Vlad is laying the groundwork to use nuclear arms. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky warned on Friday, saying he did not think a decision to use such weapons had been made, but that even talking about it was, quote, dangerous. Speaking to the BBC, Zelensky said Vlad had begun to prepare their society for a nuclear strike in UKR, where Vlad's forces have been retreating in the wake of the UKR counteroffensive. But mind you, they are also retreating and grabbing civilians and taking them with them. Kind of weird. Almost like they're evacuating. What do you guys think? If you've seen the video of him saying these things, it is freaky because we're talking about the guy that the whole world is focused around, this president of this country or the puppet of this country, basically saying that we need to strike them first. You could look at that like, is he trying to rally support so the whole world that has him as their, Facebook profile pic or his flag and saying, Zelensky's a hero. We need to believe in him. The sex symbol here, the TikTok sex symbol is saying we need to nuke first. Is he still a sex symbol? After suggesting things like this, let me know. Trinity says cyber hit hospitals and the 911 systems in Nebraska, Iowa, Washington. Dex, can you...
I put it in overflow. It's there now.
Okay, perfect. So that is over on the website. If you want to go check that out, we'll try to hit that at the very end. Dex will hit that at the very end. And then Vlad blowing up nuke in Black Sea would release killer poisonous gas cloud and trigger tsunamis, warns top professors. Dex, do you want to go over this? This is interesting.
Yeah, I think the picture says it all. Like there's a picture in here. Let's show that. But basically, what they're hypothesizing here is if he was to use a nuke and hit it right in the specific spot, a little further down in the picture, there's a depiction of the Black Sea, and you can sort of understand that is sort of the hot spot. And if he hits right there, it's going to cause tsunami waves. It will cause a lot of problems with the you had it. I'm sorry, it was delayed. But the green picture, yes. If he hits right in the middle of that Black Sea, it will cause problems everywhere. Even affect his territory as well. But it could be something that would be very interesting from a conflict point of view. Approach, and that's what they're suggesting is like if he was to do this and do one of his massive ones there, that it could not only create tsunamis that would affect everyone there, it would create a massive cloud of radiation and other stuff that would damage Europe and a lot of other places, and it would probably be like one of the worst scenarios if he was to only do one thing. That would sort of be the one bad scenario, and that's coming from a professor, so it's a hypothesis from someone, but it did make its way through the press today, so it's kind of interesting to look at. This is what they're putting out, what they're publishing. They think it's important, so there we have it.
And it looks like obviously that would hit them too. I guess we should look out for them taking people away from those areas. If you see Vlad pulling people back even further inland, then that might be a sign. I don't know how we would be able to track something like that, but all right, let's get our next caller. We have Tito, a first-time caller, talking about pop control and aliens, and an old Art Bell caller. I can guess which one he's talking about. Well, we are getting Tito on the phone. I want to remind you guys today's show is actually powered by energy. I actually use this generator more than pretty much any other thing in my prep arsenal because I have actually taken this with me as far as portability. We've taken this a bunch of places already, and I have tested this in all sorts of different scenarios now. I'm doing a video on it because this thing is one of the coolest systems ever. As you guys know, I love me some Legos, and this is essentially that. All of the bricks and the actual batteries stack like Legos, and in that way, it's a very unique system because the input and the output is on the bottom and on the top, as you can see there, and you can actually stack up to 5 in one stack of 1,000 watt hour batteries, and you can actually extend it up to 96 batteries. This is a great system because it is very flexible as far as it's modular. You can actually even get mods that fit in just like a smaller Lego that can actually triple the input. So instead of 4 panels, say just for the main system, you can actually plug in 12 and you can keep putting these mods in there. It's absolutely an amazing system. Make sure to go over and check it out, marfooglenews.com/energy. Now, I did say something the other day, and I said, oh, if you're a van lifer, you should go get the brand new X2. Just to let you guys know, if there are van lifers or RVers that are out there and they're like, whoa, I should have waited and got that. If you already got the Flex is 1,500 watts, 3,000 maximum or surge. This is better than the XT in a whole lot of ways, but plus basically you went a step above. So it's not like it's basically you're totally good with the Flex. In fact, you're better off with the Flex. But for a lot of people, the Kodiak X2 is plenty good enough for the RVers. It's an all-in-one, so the battery is built in. And for that, built-ins, people are like, well, then I can't change the battery. Well, the battery has something that no other battery technology has had yet in a system like this. It has 6,000 charge cycles. To put that in perspective, for this one that's being shipped in December, this one can basically be used from 100% to 0 for 16 years straight, every single day. If you were using it every single day and charging it back up again, you would still have 80% of your battery capacity. So, because all lithium batteries end up losing some love over the years. So this, if you weren't using it every day, even if you're using it every day, will last years, even decades. But if you're not, think about how long this thing could last. But the Flex is most definitely the coolest system out there. There's no external footprint. It's silent. Nobody will hear you have this. Again, with gas-powered generators, one of the problems is obviously the gas price. 2, they have working and multiple parts that are moving and working motors and things, and a lot more maintenance. This has almost no maintenance and is absolutely silent. There's no sound that comes out of this thing. I have never put a lot of stuff on it. I think I heard what is the fan, but I couldn't hear it outside. I had to put my ear up to it to have it start making sound. Why that's important if you are in an SHTF situation, you don't want people knowing you have power. You don't want people knowing you have a generator because people will get desperate, even in a huge blackout. If it lasts more than a couple days, then you definitely want to watch out and be on the low. Go to marfooglenews.com/energy and use the code Marfoogle to save up to $170 on certain packages. It will help us out, and you get something that not only can save your butt, but can also be used for years and years and years to come. Having power when there is none and being able to take power out to the woods or out to your cabin or bug out to the middle of nowhere and have electricity, it's absolutely huge. All right, Dex, let's get Tito on the phone. Tito, are you there?
Marf, baby, is that you?
Yes, it is. What's going on?
Marf, man, long-time listener, dude. Love your show. Thanks for having me on.
All right, well, so you wanted to talk about pop control and aliens and the weird Art Bell collar, and I'm pretty sure I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, dude. So, don't know how many of your listeners used to listen to Art Bell, but they could find the video on YouTube easy. There's, when I heard you talking about apophis a couple nights ago, I was like, yeah, dude, that totally syncs with this weird Art Bell call that occurred in like 1997. For you guys who don't know who Art Bell is, he was a syndicated talk show radio host, massively popular back in the day. And back in 97, this guy called into his show. Was like, he sounded paranoid. He sounded freaked out. He's talking about how, he used to work in Area 51 with UFOs and how aliens were interdimensional beings, interacting with our government and, like the deep state or whatever. And, he goes on to say that, the government knows from these extraterrestrials that eventually there's going to be mass impact natural disasters that take out huge population zones. And the government can, he goes on to say, he sounds like all paranoid and stuff. You're wondering, like, is this guy crazy or what? But he goes on to say, right before the call gets knocked off the air, that the government knows about this, but they just don't want to do anything about it because I guess they would prefer to have a smaller population, and because it'd be more easily controllable. And then, dude starts bawling, and he just gets taken off the air right after that, inexplicably. It never happens to the Art Bell show again where some dude just gets taken off the air. Apparently we never hear from that guy again. So, I don't know. I just wanted your take on that call and what you think about that, what's going on today with this apophis comet and all of these natural disasters. Mind you, this guy called back in like 97. So it's like now you see what's going on in 2022. So, I mean,
well, and I thought it would be funny if, as you were describing the call, I just muted it out, cut like, it hung up, and then you hear like beep. I wasn't going to do that to you, but that call is freaky because if he is an actor, he is one of the best actors out there because he genuinely sounds scared. If you haven't heard the call he's talking about, it's like, hold on. It's literally like if you are into this kind of stuff, then that should have been like your day one kind of stuff. The call, he's and then Art Bell, how Art Bell responded to the call getting dropped is like, I've never had this in my years on the radio. We can't get him back on, and he's just gone. It's just, the whole call was weird. It's been a few years since I listened to it, but it is such a freaky call, and I didn't even think about that. He did talk about all these natural disasters and things happening. And now I want to re-listen to it. We'll attach it on our website so people can find it. Gosh, think about that. Think about if that guy was right.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I mean, seriously, it was very weird, and that the government, they interact with these extraterrestrials, whatever they are. With Area 51 and how secretive they are. There's got to be something a lot more to it. And then to get a call like that, to be bumped off the air, and then see all these things happening. I don't know. I thought that was weird. But I don't know. What do you think? I mean, do you think the government interacts with extraterrestrials, Mark? Do you think like they know that, something's going to hit Earth, or these people are doomed, these people are, they're toast? Do you think maybe that's why they're getting off the Earth right now? And Elon Musk, they're going to Mars and the moon. I mean,
well,
it seems like some apocalyptic stuff.
My personal opinion is I actually do believe that there is an asteroid heading towards Earth, and nobody wants to say that kind of thing because then people will label you and say, "Oh, this guy thinks an asteroid's going to hit." I don't think that's so unbelievable. If it's not, as far as aliens, the last couple years, how it's now been pushed and pushed and pushed, it almost it gives me the vibes of like a fake alien invasion type thing needs to hit to control that. That's always been a theory for years. I don't 100% believe that. I 100% believe that they're doing secretive things, and if there is some sort of being that normal people don't know about, then I most definitely think it would have been they've been in contact or had some sort of deal with for years. But I also think that those could be like, fallen angels. They could be all sorts of things. And that sounds crazy. The thing I 100% believe, though, I think and it's hard to say because people don't want you to say 100% say this. I think that there is an asteroid heading towards Earth. That's what I think. And that's from the big picture of looking at what they're doing. But again, maybe the alien thing could be a distraction from it all. I don't know.
Have you read Tom Horn's book? That was called Wormwood Prophecy. It's this dude, I guess, had like a near-death experience. He spoke with God, and apparently, like God told him, like, "Hey, man, there's going to be a comet." And this was years and years ago. There's going to be a comet called apophis, and it's going to hit the Earth in like 2029. And he made that revelation, I guess, like years and years prior to like NASA now talking about they're going to send some rockets to try experimenting on this apophis asteroid. I mean, that's just wild. But anyway, crazy story. Check it out. It's Tom Horn's book. I guess it's like a national bestseller, like on New York Times list. It's called Tom Horn's Wormwood Prophecy. If you haven't read it, check it out. Amazing stuff. If you truly believe that that's going to hit Earth, and I'm pretty darn certain it is too. It just seems like that's where it's going right now with what NASA's doing. I think that book would just fascinate you and your listeners.
Well, with DART and OSIRIS-REx and all of these missions, on the cover it says NASA, Donald Trump, and a cosmic cover-up of end-time proportions. When was this wrote again? Did you say this is way before they named it Apophis?
Not before they named it, but way years before they started talking about it. Way before NASA started kind of giving it a name in the media, saying, okay, well, we got our eyes on it, and now we're going to start maybe experimenting with sending nuclear bombs to try maybe seeing if we can get off course. It just seems really, it's really interesting.
Well, look at the time frame.
Also,
2029 is
right.
when it was supposedly going to hit originally, and there was actual news stories that came out and said this is going to hit us in 2029, and then they said no, sorry, the data was wrong. Isn't that what happened with Apophis? Is the data was changed, or I'm sorry, that it was updated?
Yeah, inexplicably, like they're just they just decided to change their narrative, and it just made it like even weirder. Like what? Like okay, like if it wasn't weird enough to begin with.
And the don't look up, the whole weird similarities there, but also T-Man, our ex-president, starting Space Force, and it was like, what the heck was? Everybody made fun of it because it was him, but now it's still around, and now everyone is like, yeah, Space Force. Like, we started a Space Force, and of course they're going to say, oh, well, it's because our enemies are militarizing space, but that at the same time we're still doing business with all these enemies, and everybody's doing these projects together in the international space community. They're all doing projects together. You have, Chinese government space agencies doing work with our agencies. If these are really our enemies, why are we playing frenemies or something? But they're all working together on these space projects. Only now they're separating, different. It's almost like, what if they're separating the space stations because they're each like, well, you got to take care of yourself. So when this happens, you'll have your evacuation ship. You'll have your evacuation ship. We'll have ours. All of the main countries are going to have some sort of satellite, almost like a Noah's Ark. They're going to build a 5-mile long structure in space. Like, what the hell is that about? Why? Why are they developing a artificial moon satellite thing? Why are they developing all these stuff? Maybe because where we're moving doesn't have one. I know a lot of people are going to think I'm crazy, but I hear you.
Yeah, it is crazy. And, you got to wonder, too, for the people who think we're crazy and are listening to the show, you got to wonder, if we're so crazy, then what is up with all these increased sightings of asteroids coming into our atmosphere? You saw the one in Russia. You see the one in Arizona in my state. I mean, these things, there's increased instances of seeing these, albeit small, meteors coming into our atmosphere, but they're increasing little by little. And I don't know, I just find that completely terrifying. But crazy or not, dude, I don't know. It just seems like something is going down. I mean, Trump, during his inaugural address, too, he was talking about unlocking the secrets and mysteries of space in his inaugural address. If you didn't catch that, I suggest anyone who's interested in that kind of stuff, listen to it. It was weird, the kind of language he was using. But yeah,
and
dude,
now
I don't know.
just yesterday, our president said we're looking at a Armageddon. This is the closest we've gotten to an Armageddon, and I'm just wondering if there's like little signals out there. If the president actually says Armageddon, is that his signal to the people in the know, saying like, "Hey, it's about to go down"? Like, why would a president ever say Armageddon? That freaks everybody out. It panics everybody. Why would you say that? Is this like that group, the Grove that meets? Did they agree at one of the Grove meetings that I'll say Armageddon on a public speech and that will be the sign or something? Because it's so out of place. Who says that?
And the way he said it too. The way he said it. If you're talking about like Armageddon, literally the end of the earth is some apocalyptic scenario, you're gonna want to kind of say it with some urgency, and maybe you're a little scared and frightened. We just say kind of so nonchalantly, you know what I mean? Just like, it's an Armageddon type scenario, guys. I don't know. I mean, it seemed like something like maybe he knew he had some prior information on that, But yeah, I know what you mean. The powers that be, I think, they've been kind of more vocal and more nonchalant about it. I think they've known it for years, if not decades, what was going to happen. I think now they're just kind of like, I don't care. I'm just going to say it, and I'm going to mention it, and well, we're all dead anyway, right? I think that's the way it sounds. When you hear Mr. B say it like that, with a little chuckle and a smile on his face, to me it translates into, you guys are all screwed, and I'll see you guys burning from space. I don't know. I pray to God that's not the case, but it just seems like it's kind of getting. I don't know.
Well, Tito, what a great call. This is 3 great first-time callers in a row. I hope you guys aren't strangers. Please call us back, okay? I would love to hear from you again.
Oh, I will. Thank you, Marv. This has been a pleasure, dude, and I love your show. You take care, man. God bless.
And Tito, please, if you find other stuff that fits into that theory, will you please give me a call back and email me too? If you find something new, that's the stuff I'm most fascinated into. Is any little sign that would make me feel a little bit less crazy? I would appreciate it. So thank you.
Oh, for sure, man. Great reset. Go read it. It's out on Amazon, guys.
All right.
It's all like a lot less crazy. All right, love you guys.
We'll put links to it. All right, bye-bye. All right, we have some of the most concerning stuff, and we are low on time. So, but this kind of we already covered. Nuclear Armageddon, risk highest since 62 crisis. That is what President JB on Thursday said, that the risk of nuclear Armageddon is the highest level since the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. Now, very, very alarming thing for a president to say. First of all, when a president says that, people panic. Normally, the politicians at this level, they avoid these kind of things on purpose because you do not try to say that kind of stuff. It freaks people out. The government is opposite of that. They usually try to hide and minimize things until last second. Hopefully we're not at last second here, but look at what is happening. Now there's rumors that Vlad is in his bunker and telling families to get ready to go to their bunkers and stuff. Like, I am seriously praying that this is not all happening right now. Like, do you think that we want to be like, well, we told you so? If this happens, we're all done. I mean, like, this is not something any of us want to see. People think that because we talk about it a lot that we want it to happen or something. No. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that I have to correct myself in 2030 and say, oh, yeah, we were totally wrong. Oh, yeah, none of that stuff happened. Unfortunately, same with CV, I showed you. And if you're new here, go back through the videos before time. We have a ton of military folks in our group, a lot of Foogle fam. We had over 500 back when we had a Discord. Discord was shut down. We didn't even share anything on that Discord because of the level of, because of the amount. I think it was because of the amount of military there. They didn't like, organizing things. People were meeting in every state. Every state had meetings under this, under 16,000 members. Jay and all sorts of great people helped with the Discord. But in that Discord, we had a ton of really great people. We still do. Those military folks, we had so much information before CV happened. I was covering it from the very beginning. Also, I showed you all of the drills, all of the exercises, and I said it really looks like something's about to be released or something. That something's going to happen. I showed you the graphs by the W, H, and the O, basically showing how the world was going to be affected by the next demic. Now, that was before it happened, and then it did. I showed you 201 and all that stuff. It was just absolutely crazy. You look at my thumbnails, go back before it happened, and look, 3 shows in a row. I said, this is weird. We're getting this information. This is really weird. They're doing drills down at Pike Place Market with gas masks, and it was just so freaky. Now look at what the patterns are saying. The patterns are in mainstream. They're all over the place. They're right in our face. People say, oh, you read mainstream. Mainstream is what is going to be in the history books in 30 years. And a lot of it, they'll telegraph all of this stuff right in your face. And now they've got us so confused and we don't know what to believe. I mean, geez. It is hard for us that grew up with this threat. Michelle Hill, sorry about that. Michelle Hill, I totally get you. My parents, and a lot of you may have been under your desks that they were doing drills on the daily basis. So I understand that you're like, we've heard this before. No, I think it would be a conventional conflict first. I don't think it would be the end of the world. But again, that's just my opinion. Nana of Montana, thank you. Says, saying good night. Thank you, everyone, for the show. Stay calm, stay safe, and stay smart. Nana of Montana, thank you so much. And Dangerous says, you spoke about Wiltshire in the UK yesterday. It's a crop circle hotspot. I did not know that, Dangerous. Wow, I will have to check that out. I feel like now I am thinking back to all of the documentaries on crop circles I've seen. And then Doomsday Preppers, this is something nobody should ever do. This Doomsday Prepper reveals she spent $27,000 on supplies to protect her family against nuclear disaster. Why is all of the media covering this? Is this part of a fear-based narrative that they want you to be afraid? They want you to think it's the end of the world? I don't know. What prepper actually tells the whole world, I've got $27,000 worth of prepper supplies if they really believe something is going to happen? That's really stupid. Who would agree to do that? There's a reason why most preppers don't show you their stash. You shouldn't be showing your cards. And if you do say, hey, I've got $10,000 worth of stuff and it's located right over there, guess what? When things happen, somebody's going to go grab it. But on a lighter note, a homemaker from Missouri became a social media phenomenon when she was revealing that she's been prepping her home for 11 years because of a fear of an emergency, and she's upped the ante. Spent nearly $30,000 on supplies in result of the intensification of the conflict between Vlad and Ukraine. Now, if this woman put herself in the broke house or just rang up all of her credit cards, I think that's pretty stupid. You should be responsible when you prep, and you should most definitely look at budgeting. I think we still have some time. But honestly, it's getting freaky. I've asked all my mods and all my family members like where they are at with prep, and I wish we could figure a way out to try to help some other people as far as if people are truly completely unprepared. But at this point, you shouldn't be. If you've been watching the show for years, you should have been buying an extra water gallon every time you go to the store for $1, $1.50. You do that every 2 weeks. If you've been watching my show this whole time, you should have tons of water. As far as food, you should be grabbing an extra can of food. If you've been watching me this long, you shouldn't need My Patriot Supply. You should have that already. But if you haven't already, again, that's why we give you the option. Dex, let's go over the web only real quick, and then of course we're running out of time here.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot over on marfooglenews.com. So you're going to catch if you go to the website, you click on the thumbnail for the show, or you open the description on YouTube, click on the show notes link, you're going to catch everything we just talked about, but even more. You got all the caller information is down at the bottom of the page. We got both of those books linked already. We got the Art Bell, the old 1997 link is there as well, all the caller information, but you also have this overflow section. So all the other content we couldn't get to. We also added the update from Trinity about the hospital in Nebraska that had a cyber attack. They had to turn away ambulances. Their health records are offline. A lot going on there with that particular hospital, and that and so much more. So there's updates to the Russian situation. There's a lot more going on with OPEC that's in there. Of course, we've got the coverage of what's happening with the political spectrum, and there's a lot more than just T-Man. He's always been in the news, but there's a lot of other things that are happening, so we've been covering that just as well. Updates on what's going on in SK with the drills that we've already been covering. There's just some continuations on that, so you can find out more along those lines. The Rock is in the news on a political side, so you can find out what's happening with him. That and so much more. marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show, scroll down and find all of this, including the caller information. And again, if you're on YouTube, it's even easier. Just click that description and click on show notes. You can look at it all right there without even leaving YouTube.
All right, and thank you, Dex. I appreciate your help today, and I appreciate everything you do. Thank you.
Great job, brother. Much love.
All right, and thank you to the mods. Make sure to thank your mods for everything they do. Survival Game was here. I know Trinity was here. I know several people here. I hope Lisa R. Hall, of course, great, amazing person. If you haven't subscribed to all of them, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/friends. Dizzy French, what's going on? Michelle Jan Boyles, delight is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro, it's not a shout out, it's a shoutro. And remember, the show continues on Marfoogle Jams, our third channel. Make sure to subscribe. We may be morphing that channel into something better and bigger. Jody, you know, and a man just can't lay. Survival game and the Gen X dude and Mr. Calais. Carrying on the racks, Murphy on the law. Guacaholic and the Mr. Cody Wall. Can't dance, bring your back pains in the Georgia new house and Mark for more. Becky Muller in the gym, LW in the Sunshine State. George Washington, a Captain Scotty in a Patriots 421. Spartac's now, and everybody going and gotta go now. Got the Trinity red and blue pill. Hi ho, Kermit the Frog here, and for real. Survival game, Nan's Global Kitchen. Everybody gotta go pitching. Carmine Petreka, Kathleen Danford, and the Black Sheep. Ellie Otero, a Wormwood, a Ricky Cannonite. Hello, bag in the bag of my booty, notice here, if you haven't seen Wages World, covers all sorts of solar activity, and then his channel that focuses on addiction recovery is The Lifeboat. Make sure to go check him out. Great, awesome guy, inside and out, on and off camera. I said a baby die, I bet a baby die. So if I forget, back around, I did it, done it, bound, every day. Give it going back, give it great. It's sharing me show on that day. All right, let's make a fresh one.